And good day, creators. How you guys doing today? So we're on our next step. What wonderful happiness we are. And welcome back, guys, to stage 3 of the newspaper clay. This is so exciting. I loved how this turned out. This is super light, super sturdy. It took 31 hours to completely dry with this thickness. It actually probably dried sooner than that, but that's just the hours that I was keeping. This is definitely going to need to add some water to it. This has been the most dry clay out of the 3. But don't worry about adding water. It's perfectly fine. Just don't add a lot. Just maybe a few drops here and there. And then just work it out again. Like with this one, this is gonna pour out super fast if it's just water. So please know if you're using anything like this for your water, it comes out fast. And when you only want like 1 to 2 drops to cover your palm, it's not what you really want to pour straight onto the clay. But as you can see, it did keep the indentations, and all I used was a ring from the bottles. It doesn't have any cracks that I'm aware of that I can see at this point in time, other than the cracks that were already there in the beginning. I mean, I see some little tears, but nothing that cannot be fixed with just getting it wet again. So right now all I'm doing is just basically playing baseball with the clay in my hands to get those kind of fibers warmed up and going, getting all of that water that I just put in my palms all mixed into every single part of this, because you want it to dry equally. I think I'm going to put a little bit more, so that's about 2 more drops. So I'm just going to have to knead it a little bit more until my hands are dry. That's how I know it's ready to be applicable. Now this one here is mostly just going to be clay on clay. It is to show you how to prepare the item to add extra clay onto the clay that is already dried. So, and that's what this is here, is what we're going to be doing, is we're going to add the wet clay onto the dry clay. Still not liking it. Like I said, this one is the driest of them all, but it is the newspaper clay, which I would believe, I mean, the toilet paper, I can see that staying wet. The TV clay, I can see that staying wet. I can see the insulation drying faster because it has the or even slower maybe, because it might keep the moisture more because of the fire retardant, where the newspaper is more out to dry faster because of the inks. But I'm only guessing, guys. I'm only guessing. So right now I'm just using my thumb and just folding over and under. It is still not what I want, as in for this, you know, the style of clay, but you never know. It might be the perfect type of clay that I need for another project. And these are different than when I first made them. These are actually over a month old now, from the time that I made them. I waited, and they also have been frozen. So they have been frozen and unfrozen. I forgot to set my mini fridge to a lower setting, and it froze everything. It froze everything. So yeah, but that was only for like a day, so you know, it didn't mess up too much. Okay, so I have my roly-doly guy here. Just go ahead and wipe off anything that might be stuck onto it. I'm going to vacuum my floor in a sec. Well, once we're done with this anyway, so that's not too bad. Add some water into our container here. I have a handy dandy sponge on a stick, and we're just going to dunk that in some water. I do boil my water. You can buy purified water, or distilled water or anything like that. But I just boil mine and it's perfect. And that's just to keep all those extra little guys not to come into my clay. So what I did here was I just put a light layer of water. Yes, it is leaking. That's why I didn't do the whole thing, is so that I can get an even layer across the whole thing. And then just wipe my hands along the table so that we don't have any spots there either. Get our handy dandy clay. Now do remember, any water that you add to the rolling pin, to the table, to the clay, it will affect it. It will dissolve it. It will, yes, make it a little bit more pliable, but you want to pay attention to how much water you put into it, because if it gets too soupy, it does have a stopping point. Like this has a lot longer of a stopping point at this point. So this one I have to actually press, where the other ones were just more easier of a slide. This one actually makes you feel like you're going to have to do some work, and it's not staying as one piece. So I can either add some more water let's be able to see if I can do a little bit so I can show you. I do apologize for the table. I will try to get some better ones. This is not even in an even coat, so let's go ahead and just put a little bit more water into this. Not that much, but we can always shake it off. Come on, just shake it. Shake it. Oh, I did not just go there. I really hope you guys are enjoying these. I hope they're not super long. I really don't know how long they're going to be at this point. I'm just making them for you. Oh, see, yeah, that is feeling so much better. But make sure you get all of those in there. All of that working. Because I was just, I mean, just the tip, I was feeling how the difference was from the middle. And once you get to start your guys' own recipes, you'll know, when to stop, when to start, how much further you will have to go with each of your own clays and own recipes. And that's the same with me. I mean, my next recipe might not even be the same consistency as the recipe is for this one, because I might have liked a different way of doing it, or might, want to try a little bit less of the flour, or, whatever. It just all depends. So yeah, that's a little bit more workable. So let's go ahead and try this one now. All I'm doing right now is just making sure there's no little loose ends, no pockets of water, nothing like that. Now I like to start in the middle and then just, oh yeah, see that's so much. It is sticking still, but that's so much more than I was getting just a second ago. So what I'm trying to do is make an even coat. So I put both my hands to the sides and then evenly roll back and forth, making that wave get thicker and thicker. Now if you do feel that it is coming up like right here, that just means it's a little bit thinner than the rest of them, but you can just fold that over just like that. I mean, I took me with my little thumb there and start that again, and then what you can do is start from one end and then work your way back to this way. As you can see, it is sticking onto the pin at this point, but I'm alright with that. Yeah, see, I'm pushing too hard. That's what's going on right now. So let's go ahead and just pick that piece up. And now I'm just going to go super fast. Kind of evening out, getting those bubbles. Now this is taking the texture of the table as well. So that is just, to me, that is awesome. That I can make a clay that will take up that easy of a texture. So perfect. Now what I'm going to do is just do a wet line where I'm going to cut this clay. So it's easier to take off of the rolling pin and not too much of a damaged sections. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my fingers and I'm just going to roll them off slowly, because I'm not sure how this is going to stick to the rolling pin. So we will see. As you can see, it's sticking a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is at the same time roll the rolling pin either towards you or away from you, depending on how the clay is sticking. Now, like with this clay, it's sticking pretty strongly to this. So that actually also can mean that the clay is too thin in that area to be supported by itself. Like, see how this is just coming apart. So let's go ahead and try a thicker layer. But at the same time, I do have to remember this is pretty covered as it is, so I will have to stick with a thinner layer, which these are actually, we'll keep with what we have laid out, because these are good thicknesses for adding the clay onto the clay. But for the rest of it, we will clean up our mess and see what we can create with them. Now, I cannot wait until I start with the cookie cutters and the real, the real good stuff. Right now, I'm just having fun learning, because you have to learn first before you can create some. I mean, sometimes you can just create something gorgeous. So, there's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. All right, so I do have this little, I'm not sure if you guys can actually see it, so I'll bring it to one of my things. This is just the top from one of those, and what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use it really as a cookie cutter. I'm going to use it as a feeler, and what I'm going to do is to set it down on the table. I'm going to put the clay on top of it and then fill the circle, instead of using it, like I said, as a cookie cutter and having the dirty edges, where this one will give us more of the crisp, clean edges, but a thicker, you'll see in a second. And this way you can also, pay attention to how much clay is going into each spot. Just roll it out with your fingers. I just have it on the table and I'm just rolling my finger, pressing it down, pressing all of that excess clay out to the sides so that I can just easily pinch them off and put them into our next time clay, or next part clay, or something. So this is what you're going to get, and all I did was, like I said, press it into the circle. Now, and that's it. Get a perfect circle. The edges and the inside is pretty thick, so if you're going for that thickness, great. If you want something thinner, you can always roll it out, but you will lose the perfect circleness, of course. But you can also use the cutter again, and this time just by pressing it in with water. Dip it in water first and then press it in, and then slowly kind of move it out and even out the edges. So yeah, so basically what you do is just drop this. There's a water bucket here. Drop it in. I have this piece here. So this is covered in water, so now it's going to be just like that. And now I'm just pressing in, making sure the water, is still kind of coated, and then pressing up with the clay and just going around. So now we have that extra clay. And see the difference between these two? This one here was just the cookie cutter. I just pressed it into it and then took off the sides. And it's still pretty dirty, but it is super thin. I can clean that sides up, yes, but it's going to take me longer. With this one here, the sides are clean, they're crisp, but they're thicker, so that means they're going to dry a lot, take a lot longer to dry compared to this little guy. And then what you can do also, once you have the circle down, and let's say you like this, what you can also do is, how how much clay you want, the style, and the shape that you're going for. You can also just pick up the clay and then recircle it by repressing it into the circle like you did the first time. And this way, it's still the same thickness that you were going for in the first place, give or take. but a lot cleaner. See, this is the one that we just had that was super dirty, and all I did was re-roll it and put it down. And then this is the one that we just did with the full clay. I mean, you really can't see that much of a difference, but there really is a difference in those two sizes when it comes to the thickness. This one here has about 3 layers, where this one here has only 2, meaning 2 of the rings when you screw something onto something. I actually like this thickness a lot more than this one here, but of course, unless I cut it in half, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. But I can push down more and pull out more of the clay until I get to a setting that I like. Clean up the sides. So now we have 2 circles. And I'm actually going to make these pretty much all circles, since right now that is the only cookie cutter I have. Oh, no, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm messing up the good stuff. I'm messing up the good stuff. No. Okay, so these are what I want to keep. So what we're going to do is just kind of push these together, kind of make a form out of it. Sorry, making a form out of it, getting all of the creases, all of the extra fiber, you can tell when it comes to that. Just cleaning up the edges and smoothing it out so there's no cracks, no creases. The edges look about the same as the middle, as in, thickness and depth and, all of the prettiness that comes with this. As you can see, parts of these I am pinching a lot more than the others. That's just because the edges were thinner. You can also just take out the rolling pin again, or just something flat that you have and evenly push down onto it. Take your spatula and slowly go over your edges. Make sure it's not going to stick to the surface that you are trying to work on. Okay, and now we have this piece here. Not too bad, and I like the thickness. I think that's going to work very well on that. Honestly, I wish I gave this one more style, because there's not. I mean, I can clean up the top for sure with a ribbon. So yeah, and then what we're going to do is make more circles and put the circles outside of the other circles. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. That is what I'm trying to say. So, this is what we're doing. Alright, so we have this little piece I showed you. I'm just taking the water, wringing it out, because I really don't need all of it at this point in time. We will definitely be using it. And I'm just making a light layer of water. And you will see the fibers coming up, so you can just smooth those out. That also will help with any creases and holes or pockets that you might have. Here's a spatula again, or you can press down. Flip, flop, and we're set. Now with this one here, I'm just going to go ahead and use my handy dandy thing, dip it in my water. Let's go ahead and see if I can do that for you guys so you can see what I'm doing. Stick it in the water, and I'm just going to go ahead and do some indentations. Trying to keep them as even as possible, but I'm never even. So yeah. So that's about it for that one until it gets thicker. There's no way to make these pretty yet. You can try a lot more water. Maybe, see, yeah, that just totally, nope. Just no. So right now all I'm doing is just bringing over all of the excess pieces, and we're going to get something working, because this one, yeah, we're almost done, guys. We're almost done. No, we're not almost done as in like we're almost done, but we're on stage 3. That's pretty good for some of our clays. Make sure we get all of our spots. Now I did start with 2.3 ounces of clay for all of our projects for this one. I know the picture says 3.4, but I did cut out 1.1 ounce, and that is just for once we are totally done. If we need that extra clay, we have it. So yeah, so if you guys wonder why the difference is in the saying and the pictures, that's why. That's just so that we have an end job amount of clay. Just tapping it with some water because it needs to be pliable, because I've let it sit too much. We'll keep the 2 circles, but everything else gets picked up. Okay, evenly pressing. Do you remember you can wetten your rolling pin so it doesn't give more of the chunks that are actually staying onto it? Just want something nice and simple, guys. So I'm just rolling it towards me, getting those edges and those pockets, and that's it. Okay. Now once again, you can either use the water that's in here. Remember, the edges are always going to be thinner, and just slowly peel off. You can also just let gravity take over, but if you do that, you have a bigger chance, like I just did here. I've been ripping it, where that is not what I wanted. Okay, and I'm just going to take this off because it is going to dry on there. Okay, and we'll just use that for some cleanup. Now I'm just patting our thing down, getting the holes that I just created while trying to take that off, and the puckering a little bit evenly. Take our spatch to the edges. You can also, notice the pat downs if you have little sections that are taller than something. See, like that's why you do that, because it starts to stick to the table. And flip, flip, flop. And now we have a nice clean-ish. We still have some creases, which we can, like I said, fix pretty simple. This spot can actually go right there. And we fixed a big hole. Alrighty then. So once again, we will definitely try this. So we're going to wet down our area so that it's a little bit easier to work with and apply, which that was probably a little bit too much water, but that's fine because I can just smooth it out a little bit. And then all these fibers and edges can get cleaned up. Just a little learning to do, I did put water on the top. I am going to flip this and try to pull some of that water onto the table. I am going to grab my rolling pin, and I'm not going to press, I'm just going to roll. So it does not actually try to heave to try not to. You have a big crack right in the middle. I can already see that's going to be a problem. So now we're back to the edge, the side with the moisture. And see, yeah, only bits and pieces are coming off. And we only have a little teeny guy left, so we'll keep that for, like I said, cleanup. Take my little cookie cutter, and at this point I'm just going to start making indentations on where I want my cookies. And using up as much clay as possible. I've got 7 so far, so that's great. Now I want to be able to at least clean this up around here, but I'm not even sure how that is going to be possible. So cut this here. Make sure my tools are wet because that's the only way they're coming apart. Just a little bit more water. That's not going to be too bad. Go ahead and press our cookie cutter back in there. Now you can even her out by dragging her and then pressing down again and making it even and taking away the sides. Do remember that these do pinch, so if you are pinching it, it will turn into that shape, which I might show you in a second once I get some of these out. Now I'm just being impatient. I'm just being impatient and taking them out because I can fix them as soon as they're out of the clay. I can fix them, but I just want to get this done because now they need to dry so we can paint them. That's gonna be the fun part. I mean, this is the fun part. Don't get me wrong. This is so much fun. But let's go ahead and fix our circles. Bob them back into the ring. Okay, 3. Wah-ha-ha-ha-ha. 4. Wah-ha-ha-ha-ha. 5. That's 6. That's 7. So we have 7, and we have tons of clay left. I don't know what we're gonna do. So first off, we're gonna get these circles onto here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your water or glue or whatever solvent you're going to use, and just lubricate these sections that you are trying to work in. Sorry, I just seen a little crack, so I'm trying to get some of these loose fibers from the sponge onto them to kind of clear that up. And that's how you fix it. It's just you just re-add in some of the clay. So far we have this spot here. I'm just kind of scrunching it up a little bit, getting it a little bit, broken up, so we have something to stick to. And we're going to take this one here, get a little bit of water onto the back, and clay on clay. You can also, sorry, I have Jordan hair on me now. You can also scour the back of the clay if you will like, to help that. What I'm doing now is just, I'm not keeping the circle shape. I'm really not caring about real shapes at this point in time. I will later on. I'm just trying to work with how would the clay work with itself once it is dry. And then I'll start working with, okay, I need to keep this a circle. So how do I keep it a circle but still be able to, do what I want to do? Like this one here, let's go ahead and at least try to keep a circle-ish shape. So all I'm doing is just setting the cookie ring back onto here, and then just pressing the clay into the circle. It's not even, it's not perfect, but that is fine. And now I'm just tapping it down so that the edges and air pockets are not there. So that is our first one. As you can see, not too bad. We will definitely clean that up with some water later. So we're going to have number 2. We're going to have, and this one's actually already messed up pretty bad. So just put them in there and shake them up, press them down, pop some water on them. A little bit too much water, but that's okay. That just means we don't have to do too much water onto our next spot. So that one's going to be right there. Go ahead and cut it up just a little bit. Not much. You really don't want to damage it. I'm going to use my spatula and place it. press it down slightly and roll off. And then what I'm going to actually do is move it. I'm going to actually move it because this one's a pretty big one to here. I'm actually going to move it to here because we have this open spot here, so it's like half on, off type of thing. And I'm just going to go ahead and take the cookie cutter again and just fix those edges. And just, like I said, just press it down so it kind of gets the circle into it. If you see any on the sides kind of sleeping out, just go ahead and bring those back in. Okay. And now just pat down to the edges. So this is our second one. It's not perfect, but you know, it's there. It has some potential. So yeah. So next one, let's go ahead and get this one a little bit down. This one here is not too big, so we're going to go ahead and put it to that spot there. And we're going to just press it down with my hand, a palm. I'm not pressing, I'm just setting so it kind of curves, since it is a natural curve to the bottle as it is. And you can actually do that with all of these. Just kind of curve the clay to your hand that also is a curve to the bottle. Now I'm just pressing down on the edges of each of the circles that I've already put onto here, just to kind of help them form into a bonding process. So I'm adding water to the edges, and that's just to help smooth out the phrase. Hi honey, yes. No, can you stop now? Yeah, this is fraying a lot because it's so thick. And yeah, that's just totally messed up that whole circle. But that's fine because we can clean it up with just a few seconds. And yeah, because remember, we're not trying to do perfect yet. Perfect is not in the game plan. Cool, exciting, and new, yeah, that's in the game plan. Just not liking these circles. They're too thick for what I'm trying to do. I have so many of them. Okay, next spots. Probably right here in the middle. Just going to go ahead and just wet that all down. Grab this one. This is actually already pretty dry, so squeeze them out just a little bit with some water. Thank you. Now see, like this one was already, was pretty much dry. Not dry, but drying. So, so this one will keep its shape. So if you want to do it that way, we can definitely try it. See, with this one, it's more soupy, since since we did that. But since it is so soupy, we can just take it off and remove it, because that was just too soluble. And see, like this is already pretty stable as the circle. So I'm just going to go ahead and wet down the sides, get this spot wet again, and just replace it as the whole circle, and just work on pressing it into it, but not pressing it to form into like the clay, like this one here, how we just made it form into it as one. I'm keeping those as their own circle spots, but just making sure that the edges are smoothly in spot so that they do not come up. And you can do that just by taking the water and just taking the brush and going alongside of it, and that goes with any of the circles. If you just want to make sure that they stay stuck together. Just not too much water. And then you just bring your fingers over the edges and smooth out any of the frays that might be there. Also kind of clean up any of the spots that are too watery. So like that one there, that one just, that took it perfect. That took it nice. I am happy about that. So if you let it sit just for a little bit longer after you make the shapes, you have a better chance of keeping these shapes. So hey, we learned something. And I actually like the way the shapes look much better as these than I do these. As blobs than I do anything. So we have 2 more complete circles, which I'm going to try and keep as circles. And then we have all of this other clay we're going to still have to figure out what we're going to do with. So we have, we have this spot here that we're going to have to fill in anyway. So let's go ahead and take this guy, since he is pretty thin, and give him some liquid courage. And we're going to do, where's the line? So the line's way down here. I have a line on where I would like to stop the clay. And see, I've already ruined this circle. I've already ruined there. So yeah, that's just easy to clean up though, so that's great. Let's go ahead and make sure that I have where I want it. Okay, that's basically where I want it. So now I'm just going to pat it down. I'm not trying to lose the shape too much, but I do want it to be stuck on there. So just pat down your edges. Okay, and then once again, just clean up any type of edges you might see or phrase. There we go. So that's what we have so far. We have 1, 2, 3 full circles. We have 1 blob, 2 blobs, and we have 1 more circle to come. So let's go ahead and find out where we want this one. I'm going to try and take off one of these blobs. So I just took off the blob right here, and that came off super easy. And we can actually make that into a circle, circle, just like we had the other ones. Now I'm just scraping off the excess clay and just filling in any of the gaps with the excess that is around us. This was our thickest one out of all of them, so that one is definitely going to dry. So we're back at that, and we're just going to pat it down and smooth out as much of the edges as we can. Alright, so this is what we have so far. We have 1, 2, 3. We have a blob that I will be taking off. So Mr. Blobs can go back into our big old stack of clay that needs to be redone. Mr. Blob 2. And he was hiding this big old spot here of the clay hole. So we're going to take our already made one, weten our area, give it a little wetness as well, and we're going to cover up that hole and just pat her down. Clean up your sides. Yep, nice and pretty. I hope you guys are able to see this all right. So there we go. Some pretty cool ones. We're going to have to get some on this side now. So we do have a lot more clay to play with. We also have this here, which we already know is a perfect size that we liked. So I'm just pressing in so that we can get the cutout. It's not going to be perfect circles, guys. And I'm not even sure if they're going to stay on, but we are going to try. Yeah, see, that's going to be a thick one too. Clean up my sides. Okay, so now we got a great big one. I'm going to actually put it right here where we had it before, which I just totally messed up. And grab some water. Repaint our area. That's okay, he'll go back there. Yeah, so that's So basically what I'm doing is just filling in these little gaps here, trying to look a little presentable. Just in case some people might get this, I mean, we have to have it at least lookable, right? And I'm just curving my hand with a knuckle and just slightly pressing in and trying not to lose the shapes, just like before's. And this is just basically acting like a glue. I do want to get this teeny little spot. It's on the corner here. And all I'm doing is just pushing it into the edge of the spots that are having the indentations. I'm not doing anything special, just filling in spots. Making a little bit more of an even outline than it did before. And all I'm doing here is just taking this and then on the edges of the circles, just repositioning the roundness of it to kind of keep it into some type of a oval or rounder shape. If you do that, remember you will have a chance to repat it down or re-water it. These are like super thick, but hey, that's fine because we get to, you know, really learn. So do remember that all of the liquid that you have inside the new clay that you put onto the already dry clay, the dry clay will soak up any of the excess liquids from the wet clays. So it will dry differently than just clay on plastic. So you do want to pay attention to how it dries and all of the fun stuff that comes with all of that. So this is what we have so far. Okay, so now what I'm actually wanting to do is some strips. But it's not even rolling for me. Have I hit a point to no return? Bring all that extra clay to the bottom. Start in the middle. Slowly roll these off. Okay, and now I'm just slowly pressing into it, just making sure it's even as I can get and there is no creases or folds. Now this is always the hard part. You're just going to start slowly lifting this up off of the rolling pin. You can use water as well, just light on your fingers to help motivate this a little. Okay. Now, do remember that every crease, every hole, every nook and cranny that your clay shows while it's drying, you will see when it is dry. So if you see a crack now, definitely try to get that fixed. If you see a hole or maybe even a spot that is thinner than another spot, that will dry totally different, which could create more cracks in later on processes of the drying. Now I just did that so I can even this out just a little bit more, since I had just smoothed it all in. Now I'm just taking the edges and pancaking it to see what the back side looks like. See, this one has a lot of cracking. Really easy, that there's just water on there. Really easy thing is just get it wet. There wasn't a lot of water. Let's get it wet a little bit and just smooth it out and kind of press in those cracks together. See? And that's it. No more cracks. Just extra fibers we can fill in the edges with. Now at this point you can once again pancake it and have a nice smooth side to work with, which that is what we did now. I don't have a big ruler. I know I do somewhere. I just really do not know where I set it. So here is a popsicle stick, and that is a pretty good, I mean, it doesn't cut well, but it does give you a longer reach than what I had before. And they're not pretty either, but there's something. And now all I'm doing is just moving back and forth, which is really cutting up this clay. So I might have made it too thin, which would be too funny, wouldn't it? But we're going to use what we can. So this is what we're doing. We're going to do it a little slower. So we're just going to make the indentations first. See, I knew that spot because the ends we're not going to use. So just go ahead and make our indentations and pull. Okay, so now we have a big old stack of clay to use. We do have this, which did not go all the way through. So go ahead and get our clay wet again. Now it's going to be a little bit too wet, but now we're going to be able to cut it a lot easier with a cleaner edge. Maybe. Hopefully. That is what is supposed to happen. Okay, a little bit cleaner, not much. Okay, I'm going to pull these away from each other and kind of squish them a little bit so that they don't crack as easy, but I'm still trying to keep the length because that is what I was going for. But of course I added too much water, and now I'm going to have to let them dry for a bit so that we can try that, what we did with the circles. Oh wow, that one totally did not turn out. I went all cross-eyed on that one. Yeah, see, that's just leaking with water. Man. So we got one. Let's go ahead and flip that over. Let's try to get it as straight as possible. Why not, right? All I'm doing is taking the popsicle stick and then just pressing a little bit down and then in. So kind of making a pop stick. And now going in circles. Kind of pressing that down so it's a little bit even. And then plopping up. As you can see right there, it's stuck to it. So that's fine. We'll just take that off for the next pot. And the same thing with this one. I'm just going to move it across. Pop the popsicle on top. And then just, for this one, I'm just going to use the and I'm just folding the sides in to help with the frame. Push the popsicle down evenly and then just start pushing in and up and push over to where you want it. And if it sticks, hey, it sticks. Same thing. Popsicle over, under, and squish. That one has a huge gash in it because that's where I decided I was going to decide to cut differently. For some reason I was cutting sideways. But hey. So, okay, we have 4 lines. So let's go ahead and let those sit just for a second or two. And we can get maybe some more. What I'm planning on doing is doing the lines inside, not inside, but like outside of those circles, not the new circles, but the indentation circles. but I'm not sure how that's actually going to work. And I have so much clay left over, so we will see. Okay, like I said, I'm going to let those dry for just a bit. I'm going to go ahead and press this out just a bit. Just doing nice, slow movements. Trying to even this out, not to tear. You're not doing this to, damage it. You're not doing it to do anything like that. You're just trying to make it an even slide. If you see any tearing or any puckering, that's when you want to kind of stop. Let's go ahead and do our pancake. See, like right here, there's a huge gash. Just pinch it together and pat it down. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right. So let's go ahead and take off the edges because we know we're not going to use those. I might use that one, so I'll keep that one because I like how it looks. It's a nice shape. Okay. Go ahead and wet down our items that we're going to be using. Slight water. Remember, a little bit of water goes a long way with this. And it's going to need to be cleaned up. So funny, it's like, you'd think this would be like super easy to cut, but it's not. It's really not easy. It's like I'm like pressing down and like everything. It's like, goodness gracious, it's cut already. There we go. Take our tooth pop, our tooth pop, I don't know what I was trying to say. And let's try to see if we can get this clean. Take your pop stick, even it out just a little bit and start pushing in. What's great about this is once you start pushing in, you can also, bring some of that clays that's like in the middle. You can start pressing those to the sides, to the back, things like that. So that you can pretty much always get a good consistency of a clay. Some of these will be smaller than the others, of course, because, well, I wasn't doing measuring. I wasn't doing any measuring. I was just doing some, fast cuts. Yeah, see, I just totally tore that one apart. Almost done. So we have 9 stripes. All of them different lengths, pretty much the same length, but different thicknesses. And I'm just basically pancaking them over to see which ones are going to break on me. So, okay. We got our water. We've got our guys. And now I'm just going to go ahead and just pretty much soak the areas so that I don't have to add the extra clay to the clay. I mean, the extra water to the clay. And what I'm doing is just kind of doing, you'll see in 1 second. I'm just basically doing outlines of some of the circles, not all of them by any means. But who knows? I mean, I honestly don't know how many I can be able to get out of this. See, like that one just totally broke on me. But with the excess water, it would have been a lot worse when it fell. So see, I'm just kind of going along different styles, kind of, kind of doing that. I am going to try to, I will be fixing these up a little bit more curvy-like, but I am trying to keep the natural of what was already there with the indentations. Well, Not all of them have to be the same size either, right? Because this one totally just broke on me in the middle. See, it broke. It was like, nope, I'm not doing it. Not doing it. Not wrapping around you. I was kind of hoping to keep more of the boxiness, but that's just not working at this time. But we'll get there. I know I'm adding way too much water, but you know, that is okay with me for right now. Keep forgetting, you guys, I have the camera set differently, so you guys can't see down. You guys are only getting the frontal view. So if I can see it, that means you guys cannot see it. All I'm doing is just taking some clay that's been on the sidelines, getting it super, super wet, and just applying it into this crack here. While helping out the other sides. Not pretty, but hey. It's what we have a sando for. Because it was supposed to be more of a fun design than a messy, you know, covering everything, which it's covering everything. I'm just testing this out now. I don't think this is actually going to stay. Okay, so this is something that I'm going to have to work on in a second. Let's see if I can actually take it apart and keep it one straight piece. So what I'm doing now is just rolling it, rolling the whole thing. It is very bumpy because none of this is like the same consistency in anything. And I don't think this is, oh, it's coming off, yay. Oh, it's coming off in pieces. I should just get it wet and keep it there. That's a little bit too much, cat. A little too much. You gotta make sure these pieces that broke get to stay where they were. Okay, nope, that's just not gonna work for us. You get back there. I'm just patting down, not doing anything special per se, other than looking for other pieces that will fit in this gap that I have left me. Now I just totally changed my mind on this and just pushing everything down to the bottom. Like, say, forget it. And I'm just pressing my hands into smoothing it out and into some type of functional. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get my roundabouts and make sure that the clay still stays circled, or there was just no point on doing that. So make sure that's still indentation. Perfect-ish. I'll give you guys a quick view in 1 second. I just want to make sure I at least get some of these indentations still protruding. So that's basically what I've done so far. Yeah, it's drying super good and fast, which is nice, but it's creating kind of a problem, especially when you're trying to keep it as clean as possible-ish. Get some water onto this little teeny bit and get that back into its spot. Okay. I'm just going to stop worrying about the circles and finish up this ring around the rosies and try to see where else I can put some of my stripes. Because I have 2 big stripes left. Now what I'm doing is just pushing up towards the creases of the clay, of the already dried clay. So I'm just using the edge of my spatula thing here and just smoothing out the edges from the dried clay and the wet clay. So it just looks like one cohesive spot. And I will do that with pretty much all of these, I think. Okay, next one. Just rolling my thumb just to kind of get some of these spots cleared, and I'll show you in 1 second. Kind of think I should have made these a little bit thinner for the bottom, but I wasn't planning them on for the bottom, so we'll see. Now I'm just pushing up so that it I still have that line that I'm going for. So wet. Some of these spots are just like super soggy, and like other spots are not, so it's been really kind of difficult to judge on how hard you should press to get it to where you want it. Because right now I'm trying to move it around so that we have an equal-ish blend. Okay. So this is what we have so far. I'm going to have to do something right there. I mean, it's alright. I mean, it's not like the super cutest thing I've made. I still have to come in here with a brush and clean it up. Which, I'm going to have to wait until it dries a little to tell you, to be honest. I'm going to have to. What I'm doing right now is just taking the end of the stick and just cleaning up some of the edges where they meet. Because you do kind of want to keep it a little clean. I mean, we do want to keep it a little nice. Yeah, see, like that spot there is like just super soggy and would have, and just like would have just went flying if I didn't pay attention to what my fingers were at. Like, I just put water in this, and this is less soggy than this spot there. So that spot is definitely going to be drying a lot slower. Actually, everything on this feels a lot more soggier than what I just put on. No, all I'm doing is just cupping my hands and pressing just very, very lightly into the bottle. Now I'm just cleaning up the edges by pinching them and trying to even them out while doing it. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Not the best, but hey. We do have some pieces coming still. I'm just not sure why. Okay, I think I got it. I think I'm going to clean this spot right there. Water solid that. Pick her up, throw her around, and flatten her out. And we're going to use this piece right here. Back looks good, but I am going to just do slight scrapes since it is going onto a back that does not have any type of glue or clay. And we're going to set her there. Notice just slightly pushing her in. Just like that. Now I need to see what I'm doing, so I'll be right back and on your side. So pressing her down into it, kind of getting a little curve going on. I'm going to go ahead and just use the circle and even up some of these edges. Okay. Now all I'm doing right now is I'm using the circle and I'm pressing it into the clay on the sides, like right here. And all I'm doing is just pressing in to the clays and then going around it, kind of pushing up to make a circular outline, indentation. Just like that. I'm not using the inside, I'm just using the outside. And you can clean it up and, you know, make it less, you know, pokish or shellfish, just by rolling your fingers across it, but still keeping that indentation of a circle. Yeah, I didn't like that. It didn't work, guys. It didn't work for me. For one, this circle here keeps getting messed up, and that aggravates me because I've been working so hard to keep her. And then the circle on the other side keeps getting broken as well. So not fun. But we do have a little bit more clay, so I do want to get at least something beautiful into that spot. So let's see what we can make. I am so going to have to like soak this in some water to get these creases out. This one's going to crack. And now the goal is to get something pretty there. I do have the lid to the top of this, so let's go ahead and see if I can't create a circle with that. And all I'm doing is just pushing down with my thumbs and going into the corners. You can also just do this. Because I did not water it, it came out broken and choppy. Also, this clay has been out pretty long, so it is also drying like it is supposed to be. So, this one will be an okay circle, so we'll go ahead and shove that in there and create another circle. So we're getting stuck with circles, or half circles, depending on what actually comes out. Okay, so we got 2 circles, and I am actually going to place them exactly right there. Get those edges prettied up with some water. And press them together. Let me see how they look. Because even though they're on there, it doesn't mean they're going to look good, right? Make sure our circles stay circles. Right now I'm just trying to fix the circles and then create the other circles because I'm just messing it all up. Well, this is what we have. We have clay on top of clay. I have not evened it out any. That is just because I believe I've added too much water at this point. I will let it dry just a little bit and take care of like some of the cracking that is going on here, and also just to smooth out some of the edges. I do have just a little bit of clay left here for the cracking. And we also do have 1.1 ounce of clay left for the end product. So that if there's anything that we need to fix or anything like that, we have extra clay to work with. Take my handy dandy thing and I'm just going over the edges. That is all I'm doing, is slightly going over all of the edges. Trying to take out as much water as I can as well. And this is also just to help with all of the fibers that are loose. So yeah. And never, don't worry about using tools or going in there with your fingers and cleaning it up. This is your project, and you know what it's going to need more than I will. Like, some of these definitely needed to be brought in together. Okay, just pat the sides down. Kind of keeping the curves that it naturally wanted to have. If I'm seeing any fibers sticking up, I'm trying to get them now before I have to actually sand this down. Okay. That is the best I'm going to do for this one at this step. I do believe I will be, I will be going along with a wet brush later on to clean this up, to get all those extra fibers and everything done. But what do you guys think so far? Not too shabby. If I don't break it first. If I don't break it. Thank you guys so much for joining me for the third step of the clays. I hope you guys enjoy. Right now I would show it to you, but they're all in different drying stages, so you guys wouldn't really get an idea on how it looks and how it's supposed to look. But we have all three done. They all look different, so that's what's great. And I'll see you guys back in the next clip with the drying stages. And I'll see you later. Hi, baby boy. Thank you, thank you. We can't jump up right now, okay? So Mama loves you. This is Jordan, if you can see him. He's just trying to bite me because he wants to pay attention. Hi, honey. There's something up here for you. Down. Not up. No. Down. Sorry, buddy.